All right, everybody, are we ready for this? Well, here's our first assignment for Drawing Studio, and it's all about basic forms or shading or rendering of the basic forms. So when we think about drawing, we think about looking at things for what they're made up of in terms of forms, not shapes. Shapes are flat, circles, squares, triangles, rectangles. Forms are three-dimensional. They give us the illusion of space. They give us a sense of light. And so the basic forms, cube, cone, cylinder, and sphere, are what we're going to focus on. So this is what we're shooting for: full light and shade, white all the way to black in each of the forms. You're going to do each form 7 times using only a pencil. Choose a pencil, doesn't matter what kind of pencil, number 2 pencil, doesn't have to be a fancy pencil. Start light, work your way to dark. But here's a couple, for lack of a better term, tricks on how to approach each one of them. The cylinder, the cone, and the sphere are really similar. The cube is probably the easiest one, so let's do it first and then we'll go from there. So, blank piece of paper. Doesn't matter what it is. Don't mind the scribbles that are on here. Cube. Lightly draw a square. That's what's called a plane. And then go back into space. And then that line should be parallel with this line. So take your pencil, lay it on that line. And then just come straight down. And as long as you have a line that's parallel to that line, your faces will be even. So this line should be parallel with this one. This line should be parallel with this one. This line should be parallel with this line back here. And this line should be parallel with that line right there. Cast shadow comes out this way. If our light source is coming from here, light on this side, dark on this side. Cast shadow goes straight out. And then this is always the funny one. Take this angle right here, just drop straight down, and that gives you the angle you want. Now, full light and shade, but on a cube, you're going to have flat planes of color. So you're going to have your lightest up here, and then you're going to have your first level of dark here, your second level of dark here, and your third level of dark here. So you're not going to get everything white all the way to black with middle grays and that sort of thing. This is just going to be kind of a light overall. My outlines for all these are really dark compared to what you guys need to do, but it's just so you can see it a little bit better on the camera. This face, the whole face of it, is going to be a little darker. Take out the bits and pieces in between. We don't need to see what the letters are. Now we want nice and super smooth. I'll show you the full example on the other one. And then this one gets a little bit darker. We don't want to see any pencil strokes or anything like that. And then this last one, if you leave a little bit of gap of light right here, and then go dark, and then get a little bit lighter as you come out, that's a good start. If we go back to our original, what we want it to look like, we want these to be nice and smooth. Don't smear it with your fingers, anything like that. Just changing the pressure of the pencil. So a little harder to make it darker, a little lighter to make it lighter. If you are a little heavy-handed and all your lines are a little bit too dark, one thing you can do, instead of holding a pencil like this, you can hold it like this, or you can take your hand and put it like this. Put your pencil down like that between your ring and your middle finger, drop your thumb down like that, and draw upside down. Yeah, it feels weird, but you can shade this way, and you can't push down really hard, because if you push down really hard, you'll snap your pencil lead. So we want nice and smooth, very little pencil strokes, no dark outlines around anything. So I'll have one flat tone here, Little darker here, little darker here, darkest here. That's the cube. That one's pretty straightforward and fairly simple. The cone and the cylinder are very similar to each other, but we break it up into more parts. Instead of just breaking it up into 1, 2, 3, 4 tones, we break it up into maybe 8 tones or 9 tones. So those look like this. So a cone, start lightly with a triangle. Now, instead of putting a straight line across it, a cone, we need to give it, for lack of a better term, a bit of a booty. So really scoop this thing out like this. So it kind of looks like a pie wedge or a slice of pizza with a lot of crust on it. And then from the point here, draw really light lines. Each one of them from the point. And see if you can break up this whole thing into 7 or 8 different sections. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then right here from the point, go straight out. Then here from about the middle, go back out to that point. And that's your cast shadow, if your light's coming from over here. When you're thinking about light source, have it come from the upper left or the upper right. Don't do it from straight down or straight up. Not for this one. We'll get there. That gives you a really dramatic light. We just want a nice smooth light. So the area that's this section that's here, that's closest to the light, will be your lightest section. And then each section will get a little darker as you come around. It's easiest to do if you start with the dark. Notice that I'm not shading. The pencil strokes aren't going straight up and down. They're kind of going at an angle. If you go straight up and down with it, you just reinforce that the thing is tall and it'll flatten it out. So each section, you just make it a little bit lighter. A little bit lighter. A little bit lighter. And then it'll kind of look like it's made out of stripes. But you don't stop there. Then you go back and make your darkest area even darker. And then try to find things that are in between the two sections and kind of overlap them a little bit. If straight lines don't work for you, make figure eights and squiggles. And you can kind of smooth things out and make things a little bit flatter so we don't see any pencil strokes or very few pencil strokes. If you get a little too dark over here in the light area, just take an eraser. Lightly. And go back to it. You can always go a little bit darker. And an eraser is to draw the lights, not to fix your mistakes. Always leave a little bit of dark so you can make your cast shadow the darkest. Leave a little bit of light right there. It's called reflected light. Cone, just like that. Now granted, as you're sitting here looking at this, I've got 30 years of experience doing this or more. So give yourself a chance, all right? No big deal. Cylinder, very similar in terms of the way you shade it because it's on a rounded object, but start with an oval at the top. Make sure you don't pinch the edges here and here. We don't want that. Make sure they're rounded. Straight down. Straight down. Scoop this out more than what you think you need to. And then break it up into sections. Straight out. Straight out. Rounded like that. So it'll be darkest, little lighter, little lighter, little lighter, 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 lighter still, lighter, lighter, lighter. This one up here, the top, is going to be kind of a middle light. It's not going to be full light. It's not going to be your darkest. It's going to be kind of around here. And then just go in. Fill in your darks. Work your way around. Resist the urge to shade this way. Kind of shade across it. It's called cross contour modeling. Shade across the thing. Do one pass, go back in, fill in your pencil strokes. Do another pass, go back in, fill in your pencil strokes. You don't have to get it right on the first shot. Then when you have it all well and good, you'll have full light and shade from black all the way almost to white. The top is going to be one flat tone. It kind of sits in this area here. It's not the lightest, but it's close. The sphere, some people it's the easiest, some people it's the most difficult. If you don't trust yourself drawing a circle, trace something. But if you go from 12 to 6 and 12 to 6, it makes life a little easier. This curve back here, you want to mimic it over and over. So right there will be the lightest area, a little darker, a little darker, a little darker, a little darker, darkest. Start with the darks, work your way to the lights. Now, with a cone and a cylinder, you shade across it or at an angle. With a sphere, you can shade all directions because it's not taller one way than it is the other. So you can shade left and right and up and down and squiggles and all sorts of ways. Just remember that we want this area to be kind of the lightest. And then just build it up. This isn't a speed thing. It's just a getting used to touch. How much pressure does it take to make a dark mark? How much pressure does it take to make a light mark? That sort of thing. And if you go a little too dark, hit it with an eraser. When in doubt, always go a little bit lighter. Those reference marks that you make going up and down, make them light. If you put them in the first time, you can always go back in and kind of erase them before you start shading, as long as you can still see them. And that, my friends, is all you got to do 7 times for this one, that one, and that one, for a total of 28 little bitty drawings. I think you can handle it. Good luck.